as they also cover the expansions. Okay, so what do we got here? We got The Old Road. Here, this is just an advertisement for their other stuff. Here. I ain't got that much money, I ain't buying another game, I'm sorry. This one tickled me in my fancy place. It hit me in the, like, I play Darkest Dungeon, that's what I do. I'm the Darkest Dungeon guy, I should get that. People expect me to get that, I get out of here. Whoop, sorry dog. Oh, that one did hit the dog. It's fine, it was a crumpled piece of paper, he'll survive. Here's the message from the people, I guess I'll hold on to that, it's nice. Alright, so we got two little books. We got the standard rule book, 40 pages, and we got the Old Road. Start here before you play a full game. So let's take a look at this. Alright, it's going to be upside down for you guys while I'm reading it, because I could not figure out how to flip this. Actually, wait, can I flip it? Hold on. Here, we'll keep her out here. She can kind of keep us company while we read through this. Can I flip this? Hold on. It'll be handy at this point. Rules. Boot up a digital copy of Darkest Dungeon and play out what's happening on screen. It's kind of like that old Gargoyle game. Did anyone else play the Gargoyles video game? Or not video game, board game? The one that came with a special movie, and then you would watch a bit of the movie, and then it would say, pause the movie, return to the board game. And then you go back to the board game, and the board game would play off based on what happened in the movie and shit like that. And did anyone else play that back in the day? Did anyone else even like Gargoyles? She will be our rules mascot, exactly. She seems like the sort that'd be a stickler for rules, too, so. Nope, I'm not seeing anything. Oh god, I'm the only one. Nobody even knows what I'm talking about. They probably think I'm fucking insane. Alright. Alright, I was gonna try and flip this. Let me see if I can pull that off quick. Can't quite pull it off. Okay. That's fine. It's fine. Just can't quite do it. I can flip it, but I can't mirror it. Alright, that's fine. I'll just read it off and you guys can look at the pretty pictures upside down for a second. You remember Gargoyles, just not a board game? Yeah, god. Yeah, it was a board game that came with a movie. I think we threw it out a few years back. You were looking at the Kickstarter, and every character might not have a mini, because the Musketeer mini was listed as a bonus. Well, the Musketeer was a bonus, much like it was in the actual Darkest Dungeon. The Musketeer was a backer's reward, originally. MAA and Flash are supposed to come with a Cove. Yeah, okay, so yeah, they held back some minis for the expansions. Got it. Fair enough. Okay, the old... I'm getting parched. The Old Road. You will arrive along the old... Okay, so it's the Hamlet is just ahead, so it's the damnably transcending terrors. It's the Old Road spiel. Welcome, heroes, to our tutorial. A scripted adventure designed to provide a glimpse of the game's key elements. Bear in mind, this is not a rulebook, merely an introduction. Okay, so this is... You play this... So they tell you what you need. You'll need these elements, you'll need 12 hero skill cards. Yeah, okay. So this isn't really rules, this is just like an introduction to kind of explain some of the mechanics in play. As long as they might be better than actually reading the rule book. Because this kind of gets you into the nitty-gritty. Darkest Dungeon board game, you will always play with 4 heroes. And you distribute them to be played by 1 to 4 players. These are the heroes and their respective skills you will need for this tutorial. The Crusader with 3 of their skills. Okay. Pistol shot, tracking shot, point blank shot. Okay. After the heroes have been distributed among the players, grab a set of player aid cards for each player and make sure they are within easy reach. Next, place your hero stance tokens on the hero stance board. For this tutorial, we suggest placing Crusader in the aggressive stance, Hellion in the defensive stance, Highwayman in the range stance, and Vestal in the support stance. Oh, okay, so that's what those symbols mean. So there's probably effects that target specific roles. So I guess instead of it just being position 1, 2, 3, or 4 like it is in the game, they're like, well, we'll just give the positions names. Kind of weird names, since the defensive stance spot is usually where you put your aggressor. Unless maybe they have additional mechanics for those spots. Let's find out. Okay. Place the wound tokens, the 8 exploration dice, 8 of the provision dice, and the 4 regular 10-sided dice nearby. Okay, so this is setting things up. So those are wound tokens, okay. Lastly, each hero rolls 2 provision dice and places them in a common pool. Check your player aid card for an explanation of each symbol. Okay, so instead of specifically buying provisions, you roll for what ones you get for the run. Okay. Place your hero dashboard, hero card, stress counter, and hero skills as shown below. So that's your little, okay. So your hero card goes next to that card, and that's... And then as you acquire cards for, like, quirks and diseases, you can put those off to the side. Kind of collect them off. Okay. You got your stress tracker up here for stress tokens. Yeah, we got counters for that. Your skills can go in here as well. And these are skill slots? Oh, okay. So you get more skills as you level up. So that's what that means. Okay. So for apprentice to start off with, you get to take 3 skills. You get access to 3 skills. And then as you hit veteran, you get another one, and as you hit champion, you get another one, it looks like. Or something like that. Speed, speed. Okay, so that is what you add to your initiative. Got it. So your speed counter, right there. That's what the footprint looks like. Hero levels. Okay, fair enough. You are ready to start the basics. Step 1, the only way is forward. You enter the exploration phase. Each hero takes 2 exploration dice. They all roll simultaneously and then take turns to resolve their dice. Turn order is determined by stance priority. The hero in the aggressive stance goes first, then the hero in the defensive stance, and so on. Players choose which die their hero resolves first. Oh, okay, so your position just determines the order in which you go. So it's always front to back. So what does the speed do then? What's that for? Maybe that has something to do with moving around the board. Okay. Normally in the game, you will set up the dungeon layout yourselves using tiles and room tokens. However, for the tutorial, we'll use a scripted visual representation, just like the real game. I guess the torch represents your entire party. So that's what the torch mini is for. It's how you move around to prove where you are on the map. Fair enough. Okay, notes. During this tutorial, ignore any curio rolled. Treat them as if you found nothing. Fair enough. You roll a trap unless you disarm it. Alright, that's not really rules. It's talking about certain things you should or shouldn't do in this tutorial. Step 2. You arrived at the part of the old road covered in thick shadows. There was a strong feeling of unrest in the air. Ooh, they even give you a little blurb. Playing this board game is a fake game. It's very fake. Crimson Court and Madness don't have... Well, Madness makes sense not having a new character. Crimson Court not... Well, Crimson Court does. Well, sort of. Crimson Court came with the A-Bombs transformation icon. Because that was packaged in with all the Crimson Court things. So if you don't get the Crimson Court, you don't get the transformation mini. Now, to be fair, you can do the A-Bomb and all the A-Bomb stuff probably without that, but that lets you swap your token over to visually represent that you are transformed. So it did come with something. Houndmaster and Shieldbreaker are the wield. Okay, so the Warrens doesn't come with a character either then. Interesting. Alright, step 2. So, All feeling of unrest in here. You've entered your first room, a dark room. Reduce the light by 1 point on the light tracker. Continue to step 3. Okay. Step 3. The old road continues up ahead beyond this dark place towards the hamlet. But there is also a side path that calls to your curiosity. At this point, you have several options. Your first option is to scout ahead. Okay. Is this like a card that was drawn or something? Probably. By scouting, the players can reveal the rooms adjacent to the one they're in already. To scout, heroes must suffer 1 stress each, then reveal all adjacent rooms. In this case, you will see where the side path leads and where the main road leads. If you choose to scout, read the following. If not, continue to your other options. Okay, the path treads to an opening that looks like a good place for the group to rest. In the road up ahead, you see some footprints followed by whisperings. Alright. Your second option is to follow the side path. If you do so, continue to step 4. Your third option is to continue the main path. If you do so, skip to step 7. Okay. It's like, it's almost like Minds of Phandelver for D&D 5th edition, your little starter campaign here. They kind of handhold you through it, make sure you understand what's going on. So this is like a little mini game you can play ahead of time. Alright, so this isn't really going to teach us a whole lot unless we've already read the rulebook, I think. Oh my god. It plays out the combat in turns, like it tells you exactly how the fight's going to go. They scripted the whole thing out. Alright, so that's just your old road encounter. Fair enough. Let's get to the actual meat and potatoes here in the rules. Oh, leper. Oh my god, I almost forgot about the leper. Yeah, the leper's missing too. Chat, there was no leper either. Holy shit. Well, that's on brand, honestly, forgetting the leper exists. No, yeah, that's fine. That's about how it should be, honestly, I think. Almost forgot, he says. Yeah, almost. Sup, Sebastian? We noticed that a while ago. Alright. Ruin has come to our family. You remember our venerable house, opulent and imperial, gazing proudly from its stoic perch above the moor. So they give you the little starting your campaign up blurb or whatever at the beginning. That's a nice touch, good flavor, good presentation. Alright, let's see, what do we got here under contents? Heroes are human! Wait, they're minis. Minis aren't people. Minis are miniatures. I think. I'm no expert. How you doing, Sebastian? Watching for hours. It's background for silent visual background during band practice. Hell yeah. Hopefully band practice went well and everyone jammed out sufficiently. Okay, exploration dice is heavy. Okay, game components. Heroes are human. Although brave and determined, adventurers are fragile and flawed. The horrors they will face will test their brains and bodies to the breaking point and beyond. Your characters may be slain or even driven mad beyond measure. Unlike many role-playing games, Darkest Dungeon campaigns are not guaranteed to succeed. Failure is likely, and good heroes will fall. Keep this in mind in your quest. Don't be discouraged should your favorite hero meet an untimely end. Sacrifice is essential for success, especially the way I play. Like, I'll sacrifice all of them. If it means a win, 3 of them can die for all I care. I don't care how much I like them. I don't care who I named them after. 50-inch TV should be a hand model. I don't think I got very dry hands, Chad. My hands are exceptionally dry, especially right now because I washed them like 16 times today. I also have a lot of hand injuries, mostly from cooking because I'm a terrible cook. All right, we got Hamlet buildings. We've got dashboards, 16 provision dice, the 10-sided dice for events, Death's Door dice. Oh, so when a hero gets hit and they're on death's door, you roll the dice. And if it comes up skull, they die. That's why only 3 sides have a skull. How many sides was that? Is that a 10 or a... Yeah, it's a 10-sided die, so there's a 30% chance your character dies every time you roll. Okay, fair enough. Nails trimmed perfectly? Bro, I trimmed these nails with scissors. God, I couldn't find my nail trimmers. Honestly surprised they trimmed up as well as they did. Alright. It's called lotion, Joe. I hate lotion. It makes me feel weird. I just need to wash my hands less. To be fair, I intentionally dried my hands out because I knew I was going to be handling all this paper and cardboard. So I'm like, alright, let's dry the hands out. That'll make it all easier. I won't have to worry about smudges or oilies. So I washed a significant number of times today. 38 trinkets, 11 diseases, hero cards. Alright, this is just telling us what we get. Hamlet board. 165 monster and boss cards. 231 hero skills. Yeah, it's just telling us. Okay, this is telling us what we have. The heroes, of course. Ruins monsters. It shows us all of our little minis. 3 times Bone Soldier, Bone Captain, 2 Bone Bearers, 3 Bone Courtiers, Arbalists, etc. Ruins bosses. So it's for anyone who's not familiar with what units go where, that you can, you have this for reference. PvP mode. Oh, so they have PvP set up in the rule. That's why the Butcher and the Puppets are here. Fascinating. Alright, well, they got all that figured out. Okay, there's the Darkest Dungeon bosses, etc. Other, round, light, days, and party counter. Oh, that's a round counter. That's what that is. Can you see that? No, not quite. There it is. That's what that is, that thing. I don't know why it's necessary, but it's there. Light and days. Don't know what the days one is for. I have no idea. And then party counters. So these are for party stuff. Okay. Caretaker, save sheet, notepad. Oh, that's for if you need to save the game. Okay. So you can write down all the details of the game currently in progress. So this isn't for every game. So you get like 100 of these sheets, and I'm like, all right, so you need one to play each game. Sure, okay. No, you don't even need it. The only time you need it is if you need to pause the game halfway through. Because you're like ran out of time or something. Fair enough. So that's probably not something you're going to need replacements on, at least not for a good number of years. Introductory tutorial rulebook. All right, so, stress counters, obviously, positive, negative. Monster tokens, 3 colors for each. No, not sure why those are necessary yet. All right, game overview. There are none of heroes to form a party of 4. The campaign is over and you failed in your mission. All right. In Darkest Dungeon, players assume the role of adventurers, each with their own unique ability and characteristics. They will take part in an 11-quest, 4-act campaign. 11 quests. Oh, yeah, that's more than I thought. Clearing the various locations from monsters and fighting their bosses. In between adventures, they will spend their accumulated riches upgrading the hamlet and themselves until they are ready to face the Darkest Dungeon itself. Some of them might perish in this perilous mission, but there will be more to replace them. When this happens, the player can choose one of the available adventurers waiting patiently back at the stagecoach for their time to shine. Beware, though. If there are none enough heroes, the party of 4, the campaign is over. But worry not, you can always start over. The game expects you to start again and learn from your failed campaigns. Step up to the challenge and begin a new campaign that will not be the same as the last. Not wearing protective gloves. I figure not having an ounce of oil on my skin is probably good enough. Like my hands are like really dry, like uncomfortably dry right now. To the point where I might actually have to use lotion later. Something I do not like to do. Okay, campaign overview and goal of the game. Before the heroes storm the Darkest Dungeon, they must first deal with the imminent threats to the hamlet and gain strength. The campaign consists of 4 acts. The first 3 acts consist of 2 general quests and a boss quest each. By defeating a boss, the heroes end their imminent threat and advance the campaign to the next act and difficulty level. When the first 3 acts are completed, the gate to the Darkest Dungeon will open and the 4th and final act will take place. If they defeat the final boss, the heroes are victorious and the players have won the game. After each quest, players will be able to spend some time in the hamlet and upgrade its buildings, as well as improve their fighting capabilities. Alright, death of a hero and failing the campaign. Heroes can die permanently and thus be removed from the game in any of the following ways. Death blow, when the hero is at death's door and has suffered wounds equal to their life and rolls a death blow. Death's door is when has suffered wounds equal to their life. 30% chance roughly to roll death blow. 3 faces on a 10-sided die. Heart attack, their stress levels reach 10 and the hero already has an affliction or virtue. Oh, that's a little different from the base game, because in the base game, if you have an affliction, or if you have a virtue, and you hit 10 again, it just resets. If you have an affliction, then you die, yeah. so that's a little odd. I think I would retcon that. Well, maybe not. I don't know. I guguess I don't know how well the game is balanced. I'd have to play. But I feel like maybe at some inevitable point I would maybe fiat that one. Gives in to madness. The hero receives a 4th negative quirk. Oh, like I just casually let my people quirk up. Like I love quirks. Okay, so 4 negative quirks is bad. You definitely don't want to hit that point. When a hero dies in one of these ways, the controlling player must choose a new one from the stagecoach and continue playing. If no hero is available at the stagecoach, the players have failed the campaign and it's over. The campaign has also failed if the heroes are defeated during a boss quest. All of these are explained in detail later on in the book. Locations. Around the hamlet there are various locations where the heroes can venture to defeat the imminent threats. Each location... Actually slide this over a little. If it'll stay. Okay. Each location is accompanied by its own set of monsters, rooms, quests, and curios, and are identified with a unique icon. This core box contains 2 locations, the Ruins and the Darkest Dungeon. Along with the unique cards, there are some common ones. Okay, we don't need to read that. It's fine. That's just telling us there's expansions, basically. Okay, what do we got over here? Anatomy of the hero boards. Hero life, hero movement, death's door, die, slot. Okay, so if you're on death's door, you put the die there and keep rolling until you hit either not death's door or you die. Hero level, hero name, crusader, trinket slot. Okay. So it looks like you can have 1 trinket in this game. They'll probably elaborate further. Your dodge stat and your Hamlet ability. Okay. Ready stance trackers and initiative deck. Place the heroes and monster stance trackers in the middle of the table opposing each other. Leave space near them to place room tiles as required. So this is setting things up basically. Where to position everything. We have the what is it? Polystyrene, not styrene. I don't know, whatever fucking material desk mats are made out of. We got that, which has locations for everything. So, much easier setup with that. Ready the room tiles. Find all ruins, room tiles, place them in a pile to the side. Okay, separate the decks. Construct the monster deck. Ooh, how do you do that? The game comes with 3 groups of monsters. Common, Ruins, and Darkest Dungeon. Oh, Common, Ruins, and Darkest Dungeon. So ones that can appear anywhere, like spiders. Bandits. Leave all Darkest Dungeon monsters out of the game until you reach the 10th quest. Find all level 1 Common and Ruins monsters and shuffle them together in a single deck. This is the monster deck. The rest won't be needed before you defeat the first boss, unless a quest specifies differently. Okay. The rooms deck. Find all the rooms cards. Okay, so that tells you what happens when you go into a room or end up in a room. Ready the tokens. Ready. When you start the game and get ready for your first quest, you won't do anything in the hamlet beforehand. You can skip to the next step. Okay, so this is after you complete quests between each one after the first quest. The hamlet. So that's how the hamlet works. Okay. Next to the hamlet board. Okay, great. The basic is set up. Now let's prepare for your first quest. Okay, determine the first imminent threat. Find the 4 level 1 Ruins boss cards and shuffle them together. There are also Darkest Dungeon boss cards, but leave them out of the game for now. Then draw 1 at random and read its flavor text aloud. This is the first imminent threat. Find its level 1 threat card and place it somewhere in the middle of the table. Dungeon side up for easy access to its rules. So the boss cards are the Prophet, the Necromancer, the Collector. I believe the Collector acts as basically a full dungeon boss in this game, as opposed to a random pop-up boss. Who would be the 4th one for the Ruins? So there's 4 for each. Oh. Okay. Boss card, boss threat card. Okay. Let's see. Bosses are an imminent threat to the hamlet and also affect the dungeon itself. Each boss has 3 levels of threat. At the beginning of the game, the boss you draw will be at level 1. Until you complete your first couple of quests and are able to face the boss itself. Its passive abilities will affect your time in the dungeon and the hamlet. Each boss also has a battle card per level, but you won't be needing it until the third quest of each act. Okay. Okay, so you always draw your boss. That's the threat you're facing up to. It has an effect while you're doing other dungeons, but you don't actually fight it until your third run of each act. Okay. That makes enough sense. Okay. Oh, wait, did I finish reading that page? I might have gotten a little ahead of myself here. Is there anything else? Oh, yeah, here we go. Choose heroes. Okay, so you select your heroes. Each player chooses a hero and takes their miniature. Take your level 1 hero card and place it next to your dashboard. Find your roster of 7 level 1 skills and pick 3 of those to equip on your hero dashboard skill slots. Leave the rest on the side. Your level 2 and level 3 hero skill cards won't be used until you train to level them. So leave them in the box for now. Okay. If you find it difficult to choose which skills you want, feel free to use one of our preset builds found on the page. Oh, okay. So you can either choose which ones you want to take, or you can take the presets. Okay, so that's what those were. Those aren't, you don't have to take one of those presets. It's just an option if you're uncertain or temperamental. Okay, keep in mind that the 7 skills for each hero are always available to them throughout the campaign, and they can swap them freely between quests. Okay, so not during a quest, though. Pick a quest, shuffle the level 1 quest cards, and choose one to play. Draw 2 and choose one to play. The other is permanently discarded from the campaign. Quests grant experience points, XP, when their objectives are completed, thus allowing heroes to level up, and also define the rooms you'll be exploring in the dungeon. The quest also indicates if you're taking any firewood supplies with you to rest and how many resting points it provides on the top left corner of the card. If it does, take the firewood token and place it along with the rest of your provisions. See page 12, roll for provisions. Alright. Okay, next page. What do we got here? Place your heroes on the stance tracker. Okay. This lets you know aggressive stance, defensive stance, range stance, and support stance. So basically, position 1, position 2, position 3, and position 4, I believe. And they go in that order, essentially, every time. Okay. Players should now place their hero stance token on the hero stance tracker. Stances can change throughout play, but this will be their starting positions. This position usually has to do with what skills the players have chosen for their heroes. True. Much like in the game. Alright. Setting up the dungeon layout. Find the dungeon tiles, shuffle them up, and draw one at random. Place it beside the hero, stance tracker, or any other convenient place. At the bottom of your quest card, you can see which rooms and how many of each you'll encounter in your quest. Take the room tokens indicated on the quest card. Shuffle them and place them face down randomly on the room slots. Find the party miniature and place it on the start location of the dungeon map. Boss quests have a twist on how you place rooms on the board. See page 30 in the bosses section of the rulebook. Page 30, huh? Alright, we're on page 12. Good. Place the light counter at 5 on the light tracker. So you start with full torch. It makes sense. Roll for provisions. Roll 2 provision dice for each hero. After rolling each player that has rolled a wild... After rolling each player that has rolled a wild, which is a DD, turns a die to any side they like. Place all... Okay, so you get to choose. If you hit DD, you just pick whichever other one you want. Understood. Place all provision dice on the side in a common pool. This pool can never exceed a maximum of 16 dice. When not used to counter exploration hazards, see the exploration section on page 14. That's next page. Provisions have several beneficial uses. They can be used at any time by any hero, by discarding the appropriate dice during exploration, or as a free action during battle. These uses are: food heals 1, also counters hunger during exploration. So, okay, so healing 1 if you use it versus being prompted to use it. Bandage, remove all bleed or heal 1. Potion, remove all blight or stress -1. Torch. Light +1. Move your light counter one space up in the light tracker. Alternatively, it removes all the negative effects of curios. Okay. Tool. This provision is only used to counter exploration hazards, so it has no use outside of that. Traps and rubble. Got it. And wild. Flip it to a sign of your choice. Cool. So torches seem valuable. Honestly, it all seems valuable. Food probably seems the least valuable. But you also kind of need it in case you get a hunger check, I guess. Alright. Here's an example. They give an example set up for your table. If you got your table, there's your thing. You draw your rooms here. Then you put the rooms in the middle here. You've got all your tokens and shit down. So this is just an example layout. But like I said, I got the whole fucking package. So we got the mat here that has marked places, receptacles for everything. Alright, next page. So a battle vessel would be considered a defensive stance. Probably, yes. Actually, yeah, because you want to still be able to use the AoE heal, ideally. At least in the game. I don't know about the board game. Navigation through the dungeons. Alright. You are now in the dungeon. This is 14. Okay. You are now in the dungeon. You will navigate through its corridors and explore rooms so you can complete the objectives of your chosen quest when the dungeon. When in the dungeon, the heroes can choose to scout, and then they must explore, backtrack, or leave the dungeon. Scouting is optional. By scouting, the players can reveal the rooms adjacent to the one they're in. In order to scout, heroes must suffer 1 stress each, then reveal all adjacent rooms. In addition, during their next exploration, and only then, the heroes will roll only 1 exploration dice instead of 2. See exploration below for more details. Keep in mind that this is a group decision, so the heroes will scout only if every player agrees to it. Exploration. During the exploration phase, players can take their time to discuss tactics and strategies, plan their path, change their hero stances, and consume any provisions they like. When moving from one room to another, heroes must explore the corridor. The heroes move together as a party and cannot split up. Heroes roll 2 exploration dice each, and then they must take turns resolving them. Heroes must move together. Heroes roll 2 exploration dice each, so 8 total. That's a lot. Alright. For each corridor. That's a lot. The turn order is decided by stance priority. The hero in the aggressive stance goes, okay. Alright, fair enough. You do it in order. Keep in mind that if the heroes have previously scouted, each will roll only 1 exploration dice during this exploration instead of 2, which could be a boon or a bane, depending on what you roll. Alright, so, the exploration dice is over here. These are the potential results. Rubble, hunger, stressful darkness, curio, or trap. Actually, curios only get 1 side, and then there's nothing. There's a blank face, too, where empty tiles. So the curios are only 1. And the rest of it is all pretty much negative. Well, hunger's, you get. Except for 2 points. Okay, 2 wounds per hero. Yeah, so anyway, it looks like only rolling 1 die is probably for the best. So this isn't a game where you're going to run into like 3 curios in a hallway and maybe a battle, you know. It's much more even than negative. You're more likely to get negatives than positives, so that's the benefit of scouting. Long corridors. Some corridors run further than others. They are indicated by a gray dot. When moving down a long corridor, you must stop on the dot before exploring further. If you previously scouted before entering a long corridor, the dot will prevent you scouting past that point. It acts like an adjacent room. Oh, okay. Got it. So there are going to be hallways where you just don't know what's coming up. There's no way to know. It's impossible. So I wonder where those dots were, so that's what that is. Trap. An old protective mechanism is set off when you trip it. Spend a shovel or roll an attack of accuracy 8 and 2 damage, I guess. I don't know. Per dungeon level. Crit 1/4. I don't know what I think that's your damage, but anyway. Dungeon level against you. Attacks are... Okay, so that's what you take. Okay. Yeah, so 2 damage versus 4 damage for crits. Got it. So there's no chance to disarm the trap. You have to use a shovel. If you have a shovel, use the shovel. Got it. Backtracking. When you move from a room back to one you have already passed through, you're considered to be backtracking. When the party backtracks, each hero suffers 1 stress for each corridor the party backtracks through. No exploration dice are rolled. Leaving the dungeon. The heroes can leave the dungeon and return to the hamlet at any point during the exploration phase, but before they roll any exploration dice. This is a group decision, and all players must agree to it. Once out of the dungeon, the heroes will gain experience points according to the quest objectives they've completed up to that point. There is no failing the quest. All quests usually give between 0 and 3 XP. Okay. It is up to the players how far they wish to push their heroes into the dungeon to gain XP. Entering a room. After the exploration is over, the party moves to the desired room. Depending on the type of room, different effects occur. Empty room, it's empty, nothing happens. Remove its token from the map, it's now cleared. Trap. Each hero suffers a total of wounds and or stress equal to the dungeon level, dividing the amount between the two as they wish. Okay. Do not remove the room token after it is resolved. The trap room is never cleared, and heroes must face the trap again the next time they pass through here. Understood. You pull a trap card, so there might be ways of dealing with it other than just eating it. So we'll see. Dark room. Reduce the light by 1 point. Do not remove this token after it is resolved. Like the trap room, dark rooms are never clear, and heroes must face them every time they cross them. Lair. This room is a lair of monsters. Heroes must initiate battle immediately. If the heroes win the battle, remove the token from the board. The room is cleared. Curio. Curio lies in the center of the room. Curio rooms can be guarded by monsters. Roll a 10-sided die. If you roll a 1 through 5, initiate battle. If the battle is won, the room is cleared. Remove the token from the board. If you roll a 6 to 10, the room is cleared. Remove the token from the board. When the room is cleared, draw a Curio card and choose which hero will interact with it. Torches can still be used to ignore negative effects as normal. Treasure. This room contains a treasure that is guarded by monsters, and you must face them. Initiate battle immediately. If the battle is won, the room is cleared. Remove the token from the board and gain 20 gold. Okay. Objective. Okay, so that's what that symbol was. Some quests have objective rooms. Quest cards indicate what happens in these rooms. Usually the objective rooms are specified dungeon rooms. Set these rooms aside as you begin your quests, so you won't encounter them in random battles. Quest rooms are always guarded by monsters. Resting. Some quests will provide you with firewood supplies, giving you a chance to rest. When in the dungeon, you can only rest in rooms you have cleared, and only if the entire party agrees. The quest card specifies how many resting points the party receives. You collectively choose how to distribute this among your party members, so plenty of room for your party to argue. That's important. Like, if you're playing a board game and not everyone at the table isn't at each other's throats, you're not really playing a board game. Resting points. You can spend the points equally and let each hero spend the rest points as they see fit. After you've rested, discard the firewood. Okay. Gold. While questing, heroes will accumulate gold. Gold is a shared resource, so whenever you gain an amount, place it in a shared pool beside the rest of your provisions. You'll spend gold when in the hamlet. Battles and skills. Setting up the battlefield. Once the battle begins, you need to set up the room in which the battle takes place. Do it with the following steps. Reveal the room. Okay. Draw the topmost card of the room deck, search for the appropriate room tile, and place it on the center of the table. Read out any special effects that occur in the room, and leave the card nearby for easy access to everyone. Okay. Deploy heroes, spawn monsters, and ready the initiative deck. On each room tile, you can find the starting hero location for both heroes and monsters. Place each hero's miniature on the area indicated according to the hero's stance. Take the 4 hero initiative cards and form the initiative deck. Okay, 2 starting locations of heroes, 2 starting locations of enemies. Understood. Oh, okay, I see. So that tells you where heroes from each position start, like down here. Okay, so that makes, so this is a single room, not a bunch of rooms. So supports would start, enemy supports start in that tile there. Enemy aggressors start in this one. Your defensive, so you got 2 units that start here. Your defensive and your support. And, okay, 2 here, and if the enemy have a range, they go there. There's an enemy token there. I don't know what that's used for yet. I haven't explained that. Okie dokie. Place monster tokens on the miniatures to identify duplicates. They give you plenty. Like, they give you 3 of each monster. So I guess that's to indicate that there's 2 of this monster. 2 of the, soldier. But they give you 3. I guess that's in case you don't have them all or something. Alright. Oh, maybe that's for their cards or something. It might only be 1 of each card, so that makes sense. Okay. Here we go. To spawn monsters, start drawing cards from a monster deck. If you draw a front monster, place a card on the first empty slot on the monster stance tracker, starting from the front, aggressive to support. If you draw a back monster, place a card on the first empty slot on the stance tracker, starting from the back, support to aggressive. Once you place a card, find the monster miniature and place it on the room tile on the area that corresponds to its stance. Then take a monster initiative card and shuffle it into its initiative deck. Large monsters occupy 2 slots on the stance tracker as well as on the room tile, so if you draw 1, it will occupy the next slot too. For the purpose of spawning and skill usage, large monsters are considered to occupy the higher priority stance of the 2. Large monsters thus reduce the number of monsters actively in battle. There may be 3 or even only 2 monsters if the large monsters appear. If there are already 3 monsters in play and you draw a large monster that can't fit, discard the last non-large monster. You spawn and place a large monster, shifting them if necessary towards the aggressive stance. Large monsters have cards which fit over 2 slots of the stance tracker. Locate the corresponding card and place it on the tracker. So if you draw a duplicate, you always take the duplicate and get rid of one of the ones you put before. Okay. That makes sense. The big ones are probably tougher overall. Although that's odd. What if you draw a unit that doesn't function from 3rd position? I guess most enemy that get moved to a position they don't function in have a way of moving back to a functional position. Like clubby boys slide forward, etc., etc. So that's probably just resolved in their own skills. Okay. Place loot chests. In areas that have a chest icon, place a random loot chest token face down. Set the round tracker. Place the battle round counter on round 1. Oh, okay, so you just move it to the different rounds. Okay, I guess that makes sense. So where does that go? On all of this here? Who knows? On round 1, heroes have 4 rounds to defeat the monsters, or they'll need to flee. Oh, okay, so 4, or you have to flee. Yay! If you just take a shield breaker, a highwayman, jester, they'll all die in round 2. It's fine. You don't have to worry about it. Battle. The order in which characters, heroes, and monsters play during battle is determined by initiative cards. To figure out who plays next, draw an initiative card from the initiative deck. The character drawn next in line by stance priority order plays. So if you draw a hero initiative card on the first round of battle, the hero in the aggressive stance plays, and then the defensive, and then, okay. Alright, so it's not the whole team. You just keep drawing initiative cards to see who goes next. Interesting. Okay. Nobody knows whether a hero or a monster plays next, but players always know which hero or monster it will be. If a character dies before their turn comes, keep playing the round as normal until you draw the excess initiative card and remove it from the deck at that point. Understood. So far it all makes sense based on the general mechanics of the actual game. Nothing too crazy or wild yet. Setup, at first glance, setup seems more complicated than it actually is. Like, once you actually understand the setup, it's pretty intuitive. For the most part so far. We'll see if that changes. Next hero is activated. Yeah. Next monster is activated. Yeah. Hero turns. Hero turns have 2 steps. 1, start of turn effects, and 2 actions. Start of turn effects, roll for any affliction virtue the hero might have. After this, remove 1 token of each condition stack on your hero and apply their effects. If any, see stacking or removing tokens on page 20. That's for blights, bleeds, etc. Actions. Heroes can perform 2 actions during their turn from the following list. A, move. B, interact with the environment. C, change stance. D, use a skill. A hero can perform the same action twice if they like. A hero can also consume any amount of provisions as a free action. Okay. A, move. A hero can move as many areas as their speed allows. A hero cannot end their turn in a fully occupied area or an area with no space. If they use a move as their first action and end in one of those areas, they must use their next action to move out. Aha. Okay, so that's what these dots are. I was wondering about the gray dots. The gray dots tell you how many units can be in that room. So this room has 2 units in it, 2 dots, it's fully occupied. This room has 2, but nothing's in it, so you're good to go. Alright, B, interact with the environment. Some rooms might contain a loot chest or other items a hero can interact with. If a loot chest is in their area, a hero can spend an action to pick it up. This is the most common interaction. Other special interactions are indicated by special room effects or quest cards. Okay. To loot a chest, a hero must be in the same area as it and spend an action to interact with the loot chest. Flip the token to see what you found, then remove it from the board. Special lootable items and interactions with them are usually indicated on the room card. One of them is roll for provision. Unused provision die up to your maximum and get a provision. Choose a provision. Grab an unused provision die, choose its side and add it to your pool. Roll for either gold or provisions. Choose whether you want to roll the 10-sided die and gain an equal amount of gold, or roll an unused provision die, so either or. And roll for double gold, or choose a provision. Ooh, decisions. You know me, I'm a gold whore. I love me that gold. Stack it up, baby. Give me the double. Heroes can only interact during a battle. The moment the battle ends, when the last monster is slain, any chance to interact is lost. Okay. Change stance. A hero can spend an action to move 1 place forwards or backwards on the hero's stance tracker. This, however, will move around the other heroes occupying the stances as well. Okay, so shifting your units around. Using a skill. A hero can use any skill eligible with their stance. However, if the skill is used successfully, it didn't miss a target, then the hero cannot use that skill again during the same turn. So you can do 2 actions. So you can technically use 2 skills per turn. Fair enough. Alright. What else we got here? The anatomy of a skill. Alright, here. This is kind of important. So we've got range. Okay. 1 range. Targets. It hits 1 target. It has to be the target in the first tile. It seems to be what that means. Name, okay. Eligible stances, it can be used in either attack, aggressive, or defensive. Targets affected. Oh, target effects. So you gain bonus damage versus unholy. Convenient. Accuracy, 10. And I assume that's the damage if the ability hits, so it's 4 damage. Critical, I don't know how you determine a crit yet. I'm sure they're about to explain that. And self-effects, so you gain a buff, self-buff for 3 turns. Alright. So let's see what they say about all that. Eligible stances. A stance indicates which stance a character needs to be in to use a skill. That's pretty self-explanatory. If you've played the game, you know. Range. When a hero uses a skill, they target an area on the board. Range indicates how far they can target. Oh. They must be at the exact distance indicated by the skill's arrow. So if a skill has... So if a skill has a 0, you can only target the area you are in. Oh, so you can target around to different rooms. Okay, so a 0 means this Hellion would have to hit something in the room with her. Whereas a 1 means she'd be able to target these ones over here without moving. Okay, alright. That makes sense. I was curious how they were going to handle that, and I guess that's how they handle it. Fair enough. So it doesn't actually have to do with their positioning on this board here. This is just your turn order and basically nothing else. Okay. Let's see. You can only target an area you're in. If you has a 2, you must target an area 2 spaces away. If its range varies, for example, 1 to 2, you can target an area that in that bracket. So either 1 or 2. Okay. So this one has to target 1, though. Targets, heroes, and monsters. This indicates how many targets a skill can affect in the area it targets. In this case, 1. The skull indicates that the skill targets monsters, while the helmet indicates that it targets heroes. Number of icons shows how many of these can be affected by the skill. So this, in their example skill, with the Vestal, it's 1 target. Accuracy. The number after accuracy indicates the maximum value you need to roll on the 10-sided die to cause a hit. When you use the skill, this number is modified by the target's dodge, ally or not. Okay. Wait, so if you're... Wait. Ally or not. So, like, you have to roll against your ally's dodge for, like, a heal or something? Huh. If a skill targets more than one character, you roll just once and compare the roll individually. Alright, that makes sense. Saves on rolling. When a character hits its target, apply wound tokens on the target equal to the damage. Okay. The skill dealt. Or remove wound tokens from the target if the skill heals instead. Okay, so you do have to contest heals against your target. It's a little weird, but okay. If a skill has no accuracy value, then no roll is required, and the skill takes effect immediately. Okay, so am I understanding this correctly? So if it has an accuracy of 10, then you would reduce the 10 by the enemy's dodge number. So if they had a dodge of, say, 5, your accuracy then essentially becomes 5. And then you have to roll a dice, and you have to hit a number under that, like 1 through 5, in order to land? I guess that kind of makes sense. I think that's what they're saying. That's not 100% clear yet. I think that's what it is, though. The number after accuracy indicates the accuracy. Maximum value you need to roll. Maximum value you need to roll. So yes, you need to roll a 1 through a 5. So if you roll a 6, you miss. In my 5 dodge, 10 accuracy scenario. Okay, alright, that's simple enough. Critical. The number after crit indicates the maximum value you need to roll on the 10-sided dice to cause a critical hit. When you use the skill, this number is not modified by the target's dodge. Okay. In short, when you roll to hit with a skill, if you roll up to the crit value, the skill will cause a critical success. So in the case of the Vestal example here, we have an accuracy of 10, so basically, unless the enemy has some dodge, you pretty much cannot miss this skill. It is unmissable, essentially. But if the enemy has dodge, then you have a chance to miss, so. But you come down here, and if you roll a 1, this is the opposite of D&D. I know it's a little weird. We're going, like, small is good, big is bad. But if you roll a 1, that counts as a crit, and you do the crit damage instead. Alright. Like Holy Lance! How high does gold stack on the board game, though? How high does everything stack? Or do they not? You get little tokens, so... There were, I think, 10 1 gold tokens. I think there were 10 5 gold tokens. And then there were 3 10 gold tokens. So, you know, you could stack like a solid... I say 10 5, so that's 50 plus 30, so 80. You can stack about, you can have about 90 gold. You can walk out with 90 gold for your party. I played Rogue Trader. Small is good, is familiar. Alright, I have not actually... Wait, no, that's a lie. What's the game with the exploding dice? Where you can just keep perpetually rolling if fate so decides? Didn't that one have something where small is good, too? Actually, that's probably in a couple of them, honestly. Dicey Dungeons? Yeah, I guess Dicey Dungeon small was good there too, wasn't it? In some capacities. Anyway. So crits are... okay, so that's accuracy, crits, that all makes enough sense. That's simple enough. Easy to understand. Their description of it wasn't easy to understand, but once you understand it, it's easy to understand. I'm sure Einstein said that about relativity or something as well. Once you get it, you know. Standard one with more powerful effects. A critical hit will deal the critical damage or heal instead of the standard one. In addition, whenever a hero causes a critical, that hero and all other heroes in the same area recover 1 stress. Whenever a hero suffers a critical hit, that hero and all other heroes in the same area that were not targeted by the skill suffer 1 stress. Alright, so back and forth, got it. Self-effects. Some skills impose effects on the character that use them. These are indicated on the card with a back arrow. And after you roll, if roll is needed, take place before any other effects of that skill. Wait. After you roll, if roll is needed, take place before any other effects of that skill. Okay, so after you've rolled to see if it hits, then that happens first before anything. Okay. These effects take place regardless of if the skill... oh, if the skill hits or misses, it doesn't matter. Self-effects ignore resistances and immunities. Okay, fair enough. So just like it is in the base game. The video game. Target effects. Some skills... alright, and this is the arrow pointing out. These are indicated on the card with a outward arrow and take place after any other effect of that skill, so they're at the end, whereas self-buffs are at the beginning. These effects take place only if the skill hits its target. Yep. They give an example here. I don't know if you can see that. I know it's upside down. Iron Swan here. It has to target a room 2 away, 1 target, crit on 1, accuracy 9. The Hellion uses her Iron Swan skill against a bow and arbalist. Her skill has accuracy of 9, and the arbalist has a dodge of 1. She needs to roll up to 8. Okay, so if she rolls a 9 or a 10, she doesn't hit. But if she rolls an 8 or lower, she hits. She rolls a 2. This is a hit. Arbalist suffers 7 damage from the Iron Swan. If she happens to roll a 1, that is a crit. And she will do the 12 instead, and reduce stress. Divine Comfort. Here's another example. This is for the heal. Example 2. The Vessel uses her Divine Comfort on her 3 allies. She rolls a 2. This is a critical, so she has a 15% chance, effectively, to crit with her heal. Which makes sense. I think... isn't it 12%? It's 5% and 12%, actually. But, yeah, might as well round it up to a clean 5er. Critical hit, she heals herself for 3 self-effect and her allies for 4 each. Okay. So it looks like... oh yeah, the self-effect and then everyone else. So the self-effect never crits. Got it. So she can't technically crit heal herself. So that's her AoE. In addition to inflicting damage, or healing skills can apply a plethora of different effects to the target, from causing or recovering stress, to buffing, debuffing, protecting, dealing damage over time, shuffling characters around, stun, etc. Some take instant effect, while others are more persistent. To track those persistent conditions, the game uses a stacking tokens mechanism. Yeah, right, we got plenty. We got tokens for days, brother. I assume this is going to be standard. You just track how your condition is stacking. You remove a stack over time, like each one, like the oldest stack disappears each round after it's applied. If you need to apply a condition that already exists, just make a new stack. Don't put the tokens all together. At the start of the character's turn, remove the top token of each stack and apply its effects. Okay. Slightly different. This way, multiple buffs, debuffs, and bleeds, etc. can be applied to a target. Keep in mind that conditions that apply wounds, like bleed and blight, do so at the same time. This is important for heroes who are at death's door. Example, the Highwayman suffered a 2 bleed for 2 turns. Conditions are he takes 2 double bleed tokens. It makes a stack of them on his card. He already has a stack of 2 buff tokens and a stack of... alright, so they got the example like right here. So, you just stack your tokens depending on the ability used, etc., etc. His next turn, he then removes a token from each stack. Yeah. Alright. I assume if the same ability hits you, then when that applies that, you just put 2 more on top of that even, as opposed to starting a new stack. You only create a new stack probably for a new ability, would be my guess. Maybe. Alright. Shuffle, push or pull. Okay, so you move your person the number indicated. Bleed, you gain the bleeds per stack. Yeah, alright. Blights, same thing as bleeds. Stun, make a stack of stun tokens. At the start of their turn, remove 1 stun token per stack from the stun character. If you remove 1 or more stun tokens, heroes lose 1 action for that turn. Monster loses their whole turn. Okay. Buffs, make a stack of buff tokens. Buffed characters have +1 crit per stack. Okay. So... Okay. So buffs are always the same buff, which makes sense, I guess. It's easier to track that way. Debuffs, on the other hand, characters targeting a debuffed enemy gain +1 crit against them per stack. So if you're buffing yourself and debuffing the enemy, you can massively increase your crit chance. But, same goes for the enemy. Riposte, make a stack of riposte tokens. When a character with 1 or more riposte stacks takes damage from an enemy, they deal half of it rounded up back to the attacker. Damn! Hey, gang, no injury during the unboxing. Well, I cut myself a couple of times with my little garnishing knife here. Well, it's tasted blood. Not a lot. A little small amount. Tiny. More like a sampler, but... No, it's been good. So when will we have painting streams? Have you seen the detail on these minis? I don't know if I could paint these. I might stain them, though, or something, just to give them a little more depth. That way, some of the detail pops out. So I might do a staining coat to them, at the very least. So we'll see. You're off to bed. Nighty-night, Melv. Enjoy your rest. Work in Darktide. Is Darktide good? I know it was really buggy when it first released. Have they patched any of that bug out? Is it still bug-a-dug? A lot of bugs. I heard crashing was kind of an issue, too. I've seen my friends just constantly relaunching it several times a night. Oh, dear. You like it? Alright, cool. Let's see, what else we got? Guard. Make a stack of guard tokens. Characters must always target guard enemies when using a skill that don't target allies. Okay, so guard's just general. It's kind of like, what's it called? Block in like Hearthstone or whatever. So if there's a unit with guard or block on them, you have to target them, just like a card game. Alright. Clean. It's probably cleaner than trying to track who guards are on and shit. Mark. Make a stack of mark tokens. Enemies attacking the mark target gain +1 accuracy per stack, plus if their skill has a bonus effect. I actually kind of like that. Holy shit, I wish the base game were like that, where having a mark just gave you a slight... Like, that would make marking feel way better. If the mark just gave you, like, a passive little accuracy bonus. It doesn't even have to be a lot, just like 5% even. Like, holy shit, that is a good idea. Wait, quick, somebody get this guy hired at Red Hook. We need this guy. This is the kind of thinking we need. That way marking always gives you a consistent effect. I like that a lot. Hell, I don't even mind if you tone back the actual, like, targeted effects as well for that. Something consistent would make it better. Alright, anyway, that's a mark. Protection. Oh, okay, so that, okay. Make a stack of X protection tokens. As long as the character has 1 or more protection stacks, to take only half damage rounded up from attacks. Fair enough. It simplifies that. Some skills can remove conditions from a target. When this happens, remove all stacks of the relevant condition. All of them. Okay. Well, I guess that makes sense. That's how it works in the base game, too. Fair enough. Resistances and immunities. Heroes and monsters are resistant and or immune to various conditions. Resistances reduce the duration of the condition by 1 turn. So 1 less token. Or 1 area and stance space for it. For moving. Okay. While immunity negates the effect altogether. Heroes can choose to ignore movement resistance immunity when they shuffle themselves, obviously. Okay. Monster turns. Monsters act in a more straightforward way than heroes, and their behavior depends on the stance they are in. They usually move towards their target and use a skill. Monster skills read and play similarly to hero skills. Obviously, because, like... I mean, I guess you could do this as a 5-player thing, where you just have somebody who arbitrates the monsters, kind of like D&D has the Game Master, the DM, Dungeon Master. So you could have a Dungeon Master to play the monsters. Honestly, I feel like that's probably the best way to do it. Have a Dungeon Master to play the monsters and shit, and arbitrate, like a Rules Master. And then have the players. So this could theoretically just simply be a 5-player game, rather than 4, and I think that makes sense. But otherwise, I guess if the players are also controlling the monsters and they have to act essentially autonomously, then they do need to be very simple and straightforward, so you don't leave the players having to decide if they want to fuck themselves or not. Okay. That makes sense, I guess. It's Vermintide, but better since it's 40k. Maybe that's in DD2. Oh, well, fair enough. We'll find out in February. Isn't it March? They had to push it back a month. I think it's March now. Hey, only a few more months. Like a quarter of a year, third of a year. Start of turn effects. As with heroes, remove one to... Okay, so same step 2, act. Check what skills the monster is about to use. This is determined by its stance, and it is shown on the monster's card by stating the ability, 1, 2, or 3, next to it. Some monsters may choose between multiple skills. In that case, roll a 10-sided die to determine which one they'll use, or if you have a DM, they can just pick. Alright. Oh, okay, we got examples everywhere. Alright, so a monster's turn. Okay, so players flip the next initiative card in the initiative deck, which reveals it's the Bone Defender's time to act. Hell yeah, brother. The monster is in the range stance. You poor fool. So it will use its number 3 skill, Clumsy Axe Blade, where it moves forward, indicated on its card. Clumsy Axe Blade moves it forward, requires that the monster targets the furthest opponent. In this case, the Highwaymen and the Hellion are the same distance away from the Bone Defender. Where's the Bone Defender? It's the Arbalist. Is that a cult? That's a cult. Wait, where's the Bone Defender? Hello? Bone Defender? Where are you? Wait, where the hell are you? Oh, you're on the other page. Oh, okay, here you are. Yeah, they are the furthest heroes away from you. Understood. Okay. The skill has a pull 1 self-effect, so the Bone Defender pulls itself 1 area towards its target, and in addition moves its card up 1 stance on the stance tracker. Okay, so it's both. Got it. Makes sense. Pushing the Bone Arbalist back 1 stance, the player may now make an attack roll for the Bone Defender against the Hellion. A player. Yeah, just bring all your friends and get all 4 of them. You and 4 others. Clumsy Axe Blade. Okay, so that's just negotiating the skill. That's fine. We've already read about that. Because the Hellion is higher in stance order, she must be chosen as the Bone Defender's target. So she's... Wait. Okay. Target the furthest opponent. In this case, the Highwaymen and the Hellion are the same distance away. And then, okay, so the Hellion's nearer to it because it targets forward, not backwards. So that means versus these 2 spots, the Hellion's closer, so the Hellion's the one that gets hits. Got it. Clumsy Axe Blade has a range of 1, so the Bone Defender uses its 1 speed to move within range of its target, the Hellion. Alright. Okay. It's moving in. Oh, Lord, it's moving in. So it moves 1 tile over to here. All right, where am I? Where's my hand? Hello? Where am I? Okay. It's going to be a tough one to see, but anyway. So it starts here, and then it moves forward 1 to get in range of the skill, which is used down here. And then once it uses the skill, it moves again into that room. But, okay, 4 units give me in that room, so they're not over full. Cool. And then you relocate stuff. Got it. Check target. Pick the target as indicated on the monster card. Wait, is that... Oh, okay. They're covering those in more detail now. Don't need to worry about that. Check the range. Monster will move up to a maximum number of areas indicated by its speed, positioning itself in order to take its action according to the skill's range. If it is not within range of its target after moving, it will skip the rest of its turn. Okay. Alright. Take the action. Large and small monsters. Some monsters are of different size than most characters. They can be large or small, and this is indicated on the card. A large monster can end its turn in a fully occupied area. When it does, the player should move one of the other characters into an adjacent area. This character cannot be the monster's target. Characters that are not small can end their turn in a fully occupied area that contains at least one small monster. Players then will have to move one small monster to an adjacent area. In short, larger characters can move smaller ones around when they need to end their turn in a previously fully occupied area. Maybe a little more convoluted than it needs to be, but sure. Casualties. When a hero or monster dies during battle, remove their miniature from the board and their card from the stance tracker. Characters behind them in the stance tracker will slide to fill the position. Okay, same thing as in the game. What else we got here? Example, the hero's attack mage kill a gargoyle. Its miniature and card are immediately removed from play. High and low ground. Well, that's new. Some areas provide elevation while others areas have a height disadvantage. High ground areas are indicated with a up arrow, while low ground ones with a orange down arrow. When a monster or hero stands on a high ground area, they gain +1 additional range, optional range, and +1 accuracy to all their skills targeting non-high ground areas. Characters targeting others in a low ground area, well, not in low ground themselves, gain +1 accuracy and okay. Alright. But what happens if you're low ground and somebody else is high ground? Does that just double the... I assume that doubles the effects. Or maybe not. No, I guess it would... Yeah. So yeah, you would just take both of the effects, probably. Okay. Battle rounds. When initiative deck is empty and all heroes and monsters have taken their turns, the round ends. Reform the initiative deck by shuffling. Battle end. Battle can end in 3 ways. All monsters are defeated, heroes flee, or all heroes are defeated. Fleeing. If the 4th round of battle ends and there are monsters still alive, the heroes are forced to flee since their enemies gained enough time for reinforcements to arrive. The battle now looks unwinnable. Follow all the steps of a battle end, but do not remove the room token from the dungeon tile since it is not cleared. The party is now forced to continue with the exploration and move away from the room. If they come back at some point, they have to treat it as a new room they've never encountered. Alright, fair enough. When the battle ends, take your miniatures back, shuffle all monster cards used in battle deck into the monster deck, and place the room tile back on its stack. Leave all looted chests and the room card discarded for the rest of the dungeon run. You won't encounter them again unless a quest specifies otherwise. The party can now continue with their exploration. Any chests or other features that were not interacted with are lost. Heroes have the chance to do so only as long as the battle is taking place. Cool. Alright, I'm kind of curious about the Hamlet stuff. We've got the in-play stuff. That all makes enough sense. Everything kind of comes together. Okay, now we're getting to the outside of... Okay. Alright then, now we're getting to the meat and potatoes, the stuff that's a little more of a mystery. Trinkets. During their trek, the heroes will acquire special items that will give them additional abilities. These items are called trinkets. Heroes are limited as to how many trinkets they can carry at once. This limit is equal to their level. When a hero acquires a trinket, they decide whether they're going to keep it, give it to a companion, or discard it. A hero can discard or pass over a trinket they already used to make space for a new one if they wish to do so. Heroes cannot hold or store excess trinkets. All trinkets have a positive and negative side. When a hero equips themselves with a trinket, they turn it positive side up. Trinkets have active abilities and can be used when the situation applies. When a hero wants to use a trinket, they declare the use, resolve the effect, and then they turn it negative side up. The next time it'll be used, the hero will have to resolve the negative effect to turn it positive side up again. In battle, a trinket can be used only once per turn. Alright. Example, Hellion has equipped the critical stone. She is about to attack a monster and she has crit 2. She rolls a 4. Decides to use the trinket and gain the +2 crit, successfully scoring a critical hit. The trinket is now turned to its negative side. In order to gain the +2 crit again, she first needs to use it to give herself -2 accuracy at some point. So, use the bonus when it's good, and when the negative is minimized, use the negative. So like if you're already going to hit something and you overhit it, use the accuracy penalty if you're still going to hit it to get it back. Alright, yeah, that makes sense. Quirks. Delving into the darkness of dungeons and facing unspeakable horrors of the abyss will certainly leave its mark on the hero's psychology, while sometimes these dangers will strengthen their resolve. Often they'll leave them with phobias and other bad psychological effects. There are 2 kinds of quirks, positive and negative, and they are kept in separate decks. As implied, the former produce positive effects and the latter negative. Passive effect that are triggered whenever something specific happens to the hero. Hero cannot have more than 3 quirks at a time. If a hero already has 3 quirks and acquires a 4th positive one, they must either discard it or swap it with a positive one that they already have. If the 4th quirk is negative, the player discards a positive quirk and replaces it with a negative one. If a hero already has 3 negative quirks and the 4th is a positive, the positive one is discarded and has no effect. If a 4th negative quirk is acquired, the hero succumbs to madness and is treated as permanently dead. Of course, can be treated at the Abbey and the Hamlet. Okay, so you don't get a collection of positive and negative, you just get 3, and the negatives roll the positives off, basically. Over time. Understood. And then it gives us a list of all of them. That's fine. We're not worried about that. Diseases. Long abandoned curios left unattended through time might infect curious and reckless heroes with diseases. When a disease is applied to a hero, draw 1 from the deck and place it in the appropriate hero board slot. The hero is now affected by it. Diseases work like quirks, applying negative effects when something specific happens. Heroes can only have 1 disease at a time. If a hero must suffer a disease while they already have one, replace it with a new one and gain a negative quirk. Oh dear. The Warrens already sounds like fresh hell, and it's not even out yet. And that gives a list of diseases. They're all suitably terrifying. Horrible. Tough stuff there. Stress, afflictions, and virtues. Alright. So, much like the base game, you get your stress bar. But instead of 100, this time it's 10. All heroes start the adventure at 0 stress, and it can go up to 10. Stress is represented by the stress icon. It can be gained or recovered in a variety of ways. Monster abilities, letting the light go down, or even suffering critical hits will stress the hero. When a hero's stress reaches 10, the hero's resolve is tested, as it can either drive them to despair or boost their willpower further. When the resolve is tested, roll a 10-sided die. On a roll of 1 or 2, they gain a virtue, so 20% chance. That makes sense. On a roll of 3 or more, they gain an affliction. A hero can have their resolve tested only once during a quest, and can never have more than 1 affliction and or virtue at a time. Affliction and virtue effects have a chance of triggering at the start of the hero's turn. It's usually, aside from, what was it? Irrational. Irrational always has its effect play out, every round. But the others all have anywhere between a 20 and 40% chance. During the battle, each has a different chance to trigger, and is determined by the roll of the 10-sided die as indicated on the card. After a hero acquires a virtue or an affliction, reset the stress tracker to 0. At the end of the quest, when the party returns to the Hamlet, if a hero is afflicted, they discard the affliction and gain a negative quirk. If the hero is virtuous, they discard the virtue and gain a positive quirk. When a hero reaches 10 stress and has an affliction or a virtue already, they die of a heart attack. To keep track of your stress, take a stress counter and place it white side up on your hero dashboard stress tracker, moving it up until it reaches 10. When it reaches 10 and the hero's undergone a test of their resolve, return the stress counter to 0. And flip it on its red side. If the counter is on its red side, when you return to the hamlet, flip it onto its white side again. White-red sides are a reminder of whether a hero is heading towards a test of their resolve or a heart attack. The light, an important mechanic. The light is very important throughout the quest for it illuminates dark corners and drives back monsters. Light can increase or decrease in various ways. For example, from exploration hazards or entering dark rooms. And it can produce different effects depending on its level. At level 5, which is where it starts, all heroes have +1 dodge. At level 4, heroes and monsters gain +1 crit. At 2, when heroes suffer stress, they gain an additional stress. And at 0, monsters gain +1 dodge and +1 accuracy. Effects from 4 to 0 are cumulative, which means they're always in effect and add on to each other. For example, when light is down to 1, all previous effects take place. Monster and heroes gain +1 crit, in addition to the +1 stress effect. Monsters and heroes gain... Oh, okay, so monsters and heroes gain the crit, and heroes just gain the stress increase. Okay. Anyway. However, the bonuses of +1 is lost if the light is not on 5. So the 5 bonus you have to be at 5 for it, the radiant bonus. At Death's Door and Death Blows, I mean, this is self-explanatory. When you're at Death's Door, anytime you take a hit, I assume it's anytime you take a hit, right? Don't die immediately, suffer wounds equal to their life. Instead, they enter a state called Death's Door. When at this stage, they don't take any more wounds, but every blow they suffer... Okay, so basically the same as the base game. You take a hit, you roll the die. If it comes up skulls, you're dead. If it comes up blank, you get to live for your next roll. On your hero board. Anytime the hero suffers any amount of wounds, roll the die instead. If you roll a skull, the hero receives a death blow instead. If not, you have cheated death for now. Okay, so that's pretty much how it works in the game. Keep in mind that if multiple wounding conditions such as bleed and blight happen while a hero is at death's door, you'll only roll once as these conditions apply their wounds simultaneously. Yeah. Alright, so exactly like the game, the video game. Gaining XP, experience points. XP are important in order to make your hero stronger and more able to survive when you enter the darkest dungeon. In order for your heroes to gain XP, they need to complete quest objectives first. All quests grant between 0 and 3 XP depending on how many of its objectives the party completes. XP are awarded when the heroes return to the hamlet, if they all gain the same amount, and they all gain the same amount of XP. In addition, after your party returns to the hamlet and gains XP, add the amount gained per hero to the stagecoach. So, if the party fully completed a quest and each hero gains 3 XP, also add 3 XP to the stagecoach. You'll need it later if a hero is dead, and a new one must take their place. So you build an XP pool in there, so if you bring a new hero, you can use that XP to catch them up in levels. Makes sense. Leveling up. Heroes can level up their stats independently from their skills. Each hero has 3 hero levels. And each of their skills also has 3 levels. In order to level up any of them, the hero must visit the guild and the hamlet and pay the appropriate gold and XP cost. When you level up a particular skill, remove its previous version and add the new level card into your roster of 7. When you level up a hero, replace the hero card with the next tier of hero card. Okay, that makes sense. Yep. So leveling up your hero occurs with XP after a dungeon, whereas leveling up your... I assume? Seems what they seem to be explaining. Whereas you have to spend XP and whatever separately to upgrade your skills, so they don't upgrade together. Bosses, here we go. Here's something a little more meaty. We're actually getting close to the end of the book. We got a few pages left. And then we will understand how to play the game. You gotta go. Stay safe out there, chill. Enjoy the rest of your evening. The Warrens is always hell, true. So there are never going to be any empty rooms. Oh, yes, there can be empty rooms, yes. Alright, bosses are your imminent threat. Powerful entities that are a constant threat to the hamlet and must be dealt with before you can enter the darkest dungeon. Each boss has 3 versions, according to the campaign level. Bosses have 2 passive threat abilities, one for the hamlet and the other for inside of the dungeons. They vary from level to level. Okay. In order to face a boss, the heroes must complete 2 quests beforehand. When they do so, the boss location is revealed, and they can venture off to slay it. There is a general quest card for every boss, named Face the Threat. When you must face one, consult that card for the dungeon layout and firewood supplies. Alright. So that's their actions, I guess. Bosses always hide at the far end of the dungeon when you're about to set up a boss quest. Dungeon, note how many rooms the dungeon tile has on the edge. An edge room is a room that has only one corridor leading to it and from it. Take the objective room along with as many random room tokens as you need, shuffle them together, and place them on these edge rooms. Then fill up the rest of the room slots as usual. The boss always waits at the edge of the dungeon, which edge is for you to find out. Fighting a boss. There is no turning back once you start a Face the Threat quest. You don't have the option to leave the dungeon, and if you fail to defeat the boss, the campaign is over. When you enter the objective room, use the room tile that is unique to the boss that you're fighting. Each boss has its own room tile. Okay. Flip the boss card from the threat side. I assume they have an indicator of some sort that which tile is the boss tile. Flip the boss card from the threat side to the battle ability side. The threat ceased to function at that moment. As bosses have special battle rules, take a moment to read them both on their card and for a more extensive explanation in the boss's special rules section of this book, page 38. Do not count battle rounds when fighting the boss. When you defeat it, the battle ends immediately. Remove any other monsters from play, so everything is still soul-linked. You don't need to fight them. To form the initiative deck, check how many actions rounds the boss has, and add that many monster initiative cards for it to the deck. Do the same for any other special monsters that might start the battle along with the boss. When you kill a boss, the campaign advances a level, and you enter the next act. Boss turn. Since bosses have more than one action per round, they get to act more frequently than other monsters. When monsters with multiple actions per round are in battle, they'll use the initiative cards to act before monsters that are behind them in stance order. Example, the Shuffling Horror has 2 actions per round. The players draw an initiative card, showing it's the monster's turn to go. The Shuffling Horror acts and finishes its action. Next, the players draw an initiative card, and the monsters go one more time. Since the Shuffling Horror has one more action remains, and has priority aggressive stance, it gets its second action now. Okay, so the bosses can take both their actions back to back, depending on their position on the board. Fair enough. Okay. It's second action now. The next 2 monster initiative cards will go to the Cultist Priest and the Malignant Growth. Should something happen to move the Shuffling Horror to the defensive stance before it has the opportunity to take its second action, for example being pushed back by a hero, then the Cultist Priest will act when the next monster is drawn instead. Monster Summoning. A common practice of bosses is to summon other monsters to their aid. Some are special monsters, unique to the boss. Others might be common monsters found in the dungeons. Which ones they are and how they are summoned is described in each boss's special rules and is indicated with the, it's a skull down arrow icon. Boss's special, on their battle card. When a monster is summoned during battle, it is placed in the first empty stance slot. Its miniature goes to the corresponding area on the room tile, unless the boss specifies otherwise. If there is no space there, a hero must move to the nearest available area. If the area the summoned monster spawns into is fully occupied by monsters, players choose which one to move to the nearest available area to make space. Once done, shuffle an initiative card for the monster into the initiative deck, and it gets, unless the hero is taken out, the monster gets its chance to act during the round it's summoned. Okay. Hero Death. When a hero dies, the player removes all cards from the hero's board, along with its miniature. This hero is no longer available for the rest of the campaign. Trinkets can be taken by fellow players and equipped to their heroes immediately, positive side up. If no one wants them, they are discarded. The player who lost their hero must now choose one of the available heroes waiting at the stagecoach. A player can choose any hero that is available and has not already died during the campaign. The new hero gains XP equal to those the party has accumulated during the campaign up to now, recorded at the stagecoach. Do not remove any XP from there, and immediately spend any XP they want to make up to 2 upgrades to their hero and or skills, as if they have visited the guild in the hamlet. But without spending any gold. Very nice. So it's like having your upgraded stagecoach, basically. If the hero died during battle, the new hero waits until it is finished in order to join the party. Once the hero is chosen, remove a waiting hero token from the stagecoach and continue with exploration as normal. If I'm not mistaken, you have 4 backup heroes, basically. As I believe the game includes 4 of the helmet tokens, which are your backup characters. So, you get 4 extra lives, basically. Returning to the hamlet. However successful it was after the quest is over, heroes return to the hamlet to lick their wounds before they face the horrors again. When returning to the hamlet, heroes take the following steps. Shuffle back in their respective decks all discarded trinkets, cures, quirks, diseases, etc. All conditions are removed and light goes up to 5. All equipped trinkets are turned to their positive side. Afflictions and virtues are reshuffled into their decks and are replaced by negative and positive quirks respectively. No life or stress is recovered. No quirks or diseases are removed. Heroes need to heal themselves by visiting the buildings of the hamlet. Okay. Remaining provisions may be immediately be consumed to gain their benefits. Unused provisions must be returned to the supply, and they each provide 1 gold. If you want, you can save the game at this point. See page 35 for more about saving the game. So if you finish a dungeon and you don't have time to run the next one, you can save the game. So this is a game they expect you to have to play over more than one sit down, typically speaking. Which makes sense. That's fair. It's an involved game. There's a lot going on. Okay, so the hamlet. The hamlet is your hub where you rest, shop, train, and help the heir to slowly restore it back to its former glory. Heroes return to the hamlet after each dungeon delve and must take the following steps. Draw a hamlet event card and mark your preparation days. Then each day, roll for the caretaker and spend your day. Heroes can swap skills from their roster of 7. Change stances and upgrade buildings freely at any time. Always pay attention to the current boss's hamlet threat ability, because it will have an effect. Alright. Draw a hamlet event card. Card follow its instructions and then shuffle it back into its deck. Each hamlet event card indicates how many days you have to prepare for your next quest. Place a days counter on the days tracker. Note that some events will be permanently discarded from the campaign after they are resolved. I'm sure the card itself will specify. Roll for caretaker. This suspicious-looking person took care of the hamlet before the heir arrived and continues to do so during his temporary absence. At the start of each day, roll a 10-sided die and place him on top of the appropriate building. He occupies that space and blocks heroes from visiting. If you need to roll for something else that blocks the location as well, such as boss's threat ability, and you roll the same location as the caretaker, roll again until you roll a free building. Spend your days by stance order, aggressive to support. Heroes visit the various buildings of the hamlet, spending money and time to heal, both physically and mentally, train their skills, cure their diseases, etc. Each hero occupies the building during their visit, blocking other heroes from visiting the same building the same day. Heroes can only take 1 of the available choices each day they visit a building. Instead of visiting a building, a hero can spend their day to use one of their hamlet skills. After all heroes have spent their day, move the day counter 1 day down and repeat steps 2 and 3 until all of your days are spent. Some events can give you an alternative use for your days as well. Once your days are spent, you must set out on your next quest. As usual, draw 2 quest cards and decide which one you will follow. Alright. It's time to fight the boss. Don't draw any quests, but instead follow the threat quest card. Okay. If it is time to fight the boss. Right. Hamlet buildings and upgrades. Anytime during their stay in the hamlet, players can spend money to upgrade any buildings of their choice. This will make the locations more effective. This is a group choice, however, so everyone should agree on which building should be upgraded. The cost to upgrade a building, one level, is 20 gold, except for the blacksmith and the nomad wagon, which are 10 gold. Also, note that the guild and the graveyard cannot be upgraded. Stagecoach is not a building heroes can visit. Instead, the first time you set up the hamlet, place 2 waiting hero tokens here. When a hero dies and a player picks a new one, remove a token from here. If there are no tokens to be removed, you've failed the campaign. Additionally, when heroes return to the hamlet and gain XP, add the same amount here. When a player must choose a new hero, this hero will start with the XP the party has accumulated. Do not remove any XP, okay. Level 1, place 2 waiting hero tokens. Level 2, add a waiting hero token. Level 3, so you only get 2 to start with, and if you upgrade the stagecoach, you basically get extra lives. Nomad Wagon. The first day a hero visits the Nomad Wagon, draw and reveal 3 level 1 trinkets. Leave them here until the hamlet phase ends. Then reshuffle them back into the deck when the heroes leave for the next quest. A hero visiting the Nomad Wagon can sell one of their equipped trinkets and buy one from the available trinkets at the following prices. Buy a level 1 trinket for 4, sell a level 1 trinket for 2, so you sell for like half. Buy a level 1 trinket for 4, sell a level 1 trinket for 2, a level 2 trinket for 3, and a level 3 trinket for 4. So the sell value goes up by 1 per level. Selling prices are the same for all Nomad Wagon levels. Understood. As you upgrade the Nomad Wagon, you get access to the stronger trinkets. Level 2, place 2 level 1 and 1 level 2 trinkets. Level 2 trinkets cost 6 to buy. So that's 3 times the price, right? I believe the other was... Oh, no, 4. Okay, so it's 2 more expensive. Got it. And then at level 3, 1 trinket of each level. And 2 additional gold for the level 3. And this just tells you what the upgrades are. You can see those on the cards. We're not too worried about that right now. The graveyard cannot be upgraded. Pray for the losses of your fallen comrades and swear vengeance to bolster the hero's will and gain a virtue. Be careful though, for this means the next time the hero's stress reaches 10, they're dead, so that's kind of a high risk, high reward. You can go in with a virtue ahead of time, but you better hope you don't stress out. The campaign. Alright, each time the hero defeats a boss... We're almost done on the last couple of pages. Each time the hero has defeated a boss, the campaign advances a level. When the heroes have been beaten all 3 imminent threats, they must enter and clear the darkest dungeon itself to secure complete victory. Starting game at campaign level 1, shuffle all level 1 boss cards, and draw 1 at random. Read the flavor text line. Okay, so we've already covered this. After 2 level 1 quests are complete, you must take on the boss quest. These are the same in all first 3 acts. Use the Face the Threat quest card as a reference at this point. If you fail to eliminate the boss, your campaign is over. If you succeed, the campaign advances to level 2. Shuffle the level 2 cards of the remaining bosses and draw a new card at random as your next imminent threat. Add the level 2 monsters into the monster deck. You'll face some stronger monsters from now on. Leave the level 1 trinkets aside to use them only when visiting Nomad Wagon, the hamlet. Bring in the level 2 trinkets deck, as now you'll only draw from this deck. Wait, so do you draw level 2 and level 1 monsters? Add the level 2 monsters into the monster deck. Add them in. It doesn't say replace, it says add. So you can still draw level 1 monsters as well, it looks like. Which makes sense, because on Veteran you can still get the weaker versions as well. In some pods, anyway, if I remember correctly. When you finish campaign level 2, Act 2, and you enter Act 3, do the same thing for the level 3 cards. When you defeat the 3rd imminent threat, the denizens of the hamlet, those who are left... I mean, I guess you could choose. You could always choose to just swap out the level 1s. I think that's probably how I would do it. Get rid of the weak enemy, just use the stronger ones. But you could also do it the other way if you want to maybe tone down the difficulty of the campaign a bit. A little bit of flexibility there. Anyway, same thing for Act 3. Okay. In short, Act 1, campaign level. Act 2, campaign level 2. Yeah. And Act 4 is campaign level 3 as well. Saving the game. The game comes with a set of save game sheets. When you return from the dungeon to the hamlet, take one and note down all the information required. When you continue your campaign at a later time, this sheet will help you pick up where you left off. In addition to save game sheets, you are provided with a save box where you can store all of the necessary components so you don't need to search for them when you resume your game. That's a nice feature, honestly. Especially for a game like this. The Darkest Dungeon. This is the fourth and final act of the game, as the next two quests are both to fight a boss. Failing them means campaign is over. After you play the Hamlet phase, following the defeat of the final imminent threat, get ready for delving into the Darkest Dungeon itself. Remove all previous monster cards and bring in the Darkest Dungeon ones, then shuffle them into a deck. This is the monster deck from now on. Be wary, Darkest Dungeon monsters are all level 3 monsters. Okay, so that pretty much confirms it. So as you go to Eminent level 2, you have both the level 1 and the level 2 monsters in the deck. Okay. Alright. There are 3 Darkest Dungeon quest cards. Shuffle them and draw one at random. This is the one you're up against in this campaign. You'll notice that the reward, in addition to the 3 XP, is that you cancel a form of the final boss. Further details will be explained later on. You'll also notice the quest has 16 rooms. The Darkest Dungeon is twice as big as a normal dungeon, but worry not, you can find old excavation sites that you can scavenge to help you pull through. Now remove all standard dungeon tiles and find the 2 Darkest Dungeon ones. They have a red border back. Shuffle them and draw one at random. This is the dungeon layout for this quest. Okay. Are the rules basically the same other than that? Okay. Form the dungeon as usual, shuffling the room tokens and placing them randomly on the board. Only this time, to place the boss, you won't count the typical edge rooms, but the ones indicated on the tile with the objective symbol. There are 3 possible places to find the boss. Take the objective room token and shuffle it with 2 random non-objective ones. Place them first on the indicated boss slots, and then fill the dungeon with the rest of the room tokens. So similar, but not the same. Remove all room tiles and room cards you used up until now, and bring out the Darkest Dungeon ones. Shuffle the room cards to form a room deck as usual. So it's all the same, you just use the Darkest Dungeon stuff, basically. So the guild can't be upgraded? Nope, it starts default. I mean, to be fair, there's only one thing you do there, so it kind of makes sense. The trinkets you find in the Darkest Dungeon are still level 3 trinkets. Another difference is that there are no empty rooms this time around. Alright, so every room is going to have something in it. Instead, there are 3 excavation site rooms. These work differently than empty rooms, so they will only benefit your party. More about this later on. Quirks, diseases, virtues, and affliction deck remains the same. For curios, use the Ruins Curios deck. Okay. The Darkest Dungeon is set up and you are now ready to explore it. Roll for provisions and good luck. Darkest Dungeon is considered a level 3 dungeon for the purposes of provisions, I assume. Excavation site rooms. The Darkest Dungeon has no typical empty rooms. Instead, treat empty rooms as excavation site rooms. These were chambers where the ancestor practices eldritch magic as he was excavating towards the gates of oblivion. Luckily, stuff from the long-gone workers can still be found there. When the heroes enter an excavation site room, they immediately roll 1 provision die each and add it to the pool. In addition, they immediately take a free rest action as if they had 8 resting points. This won't use up your standard firewood provided by the quest. Once these actions are taken, the room is cleared. Okay, so you get extra camps, basically. After your final session in the Hamlet, you are ready to face the final boss. This final Hamlet phase is 4 days of preparation without a Hamlet event. Do not draw one this time. There was no dungeon exploration prior, just a long boss fight. You still roll for provisions before you start the fight. The final boss has 4 forms in total, but you'll only face 3 of them. 1 form will be ignored, and it has to do with the quest previously undertook. There's a specific order in which to fight these forms. Once a form is defeated, the battle ends momentarily. Initiative cards are reshuffled, and a new battle round starts when the new form emerges. The new form follows the standard spawning rules. There is no pause to rest, change stances, etc. when changing boss forms. The order in which forms succeed each other is Ancestor First Form, Ancestor Second Form, Gestating Heart, and Heart of Darkness. Depending on which quest you undertook prior to the final boss, one of these 3 first forms will be ignored. The battle takes place in the same room. Keep its card close, as always, as a reminder of its special rules. For more details about the boss fight, see page 38. Game modes. There are a couple more ways of playing Darkest Dungeon: Radiant and Stygian. Radiant mode is the easier way to play. When you play in this mode, follow these rules. Start the campaign with 20 gold in the common pool instead of 10. When you roll for provisions before entering the dungeon, heroes roll only 1 die and choose a side for the other. Okay. When exploring, heroes will roll 1 exploration die instead of 2. When scouting, reduces 0 to 0. So baby's first Darkest Dungeon board game mode, basically. Like, that's... We're talking bitch mode here. You're taking almost all the threat out of the game. Video game curious? Some of them are a bit different, but a lot of them are pretty similar or intuitively evolved from the game, I think. Stygian mode. Here we go. Here's the meat and potatoes. This is the way you play, and make sure your torchlight is always set to 1. Stygian mode is a harder way to play. When you play in this mode, follow these rules. Start the campaign without any gold at all. Find the Stygian room cards and replace the standard room cards. Room hazards are now tougher. All bosses have +1 crit to their skills. Now that sounds spicy. I like that one. And the Butcher Circus. PvP mode. The hamlet may have fallen on hard times, but the creaks of wagons and... Okay, that's lore stuff. The weathered and bloodstained pavilion. Butcher demands a show. In this mode, players will form teams and fight against each other in a friendly yet brutal bout. This mode is a standalone one. It doesn't link to the campaign, and it is mostly for 1 versus 1. Though you can play it as a 2 versus 2 if you want. Having 2 players controlling 1 team. To play the Butcher's Circus, find the arena tile and the special PvP hero cards. You won't be using the standard hero dashboards and skill hero cards, okay? Keep in mind that this version of the cards has the skull to indicate opponent heroes and the helmet to indicate heroes of your team. Each hero has 4 different profiles, except the Abomination that has 2, consisting of a group of 3 skills each. Each team has 4. Oh, so you can... Oh, so those are for the PvP. You can use those for the PvE if you're having trouble making your mind up, but those are specifically for the PvP. Okay. So you don't get to choose your 3 abilities. You get a card that comes with a predetermined selection. And there's a couple of cards you can choose from. Choose one of the 2 arenas and place it in the middle of the table. Then take the 2 stance trackers, giving 1 to each player. Light is irrelevant in this mode. Choose sides, determine randomly which team goes first, and give the party counter torch miniature. You will now draft heroes in turn. The first team picks 1 hero, then the second team picks 2 heroes. Okay, so drafting. Decide which profile you want to use for each of your heroes. Now, starting from the first team, place your heroes 1 by 1 in turns inside of the arenas on your side's color. Battles can begin. Each team will take turns activating 1 hero at a time. Players can choose to activate any of their heroes that hasn't been activated. So it's basically the same rules as PvP in the game. Death Blow and Heart Attacks in PvP mode. Heroes can die by Death Blow when at Death's Door, and by Heart Attack when they accumulate stress as normal, though in PvP there are a few differences. When you roll a Death Blow die, skulls count as safe, and blanks count as Death Blows, so they flip it. Which means the Death Blow chance in PvP is 70%. Okay. Yeah, that kind of makes sense. Yeah. There are no afflictions and virtues in PvP. That means your resolve will not be tested. When a hero's stress reaches 10, they instantly die of a heart attack. So stress management even more important. Which, yeah, makes sense. Yeah, that's about how it went. Does anyone remember that full stress party I took that one time and just AoE stressed the shit out of everyone and they all just rage quit or flashbanged me? Yeah, pretty much. Optional rules. There are a couple of optional rules that you can use in your PvP games if you choose. The puppets. If you want to use the puppets, place the miniatures on one of the areas with capacity 1. This area is now always fully occupied. The butcher. If you want to use the butcher, start the battle with her in area 1. At the start of every round, roll a 10-sided die and move her one area towards the corresponding area of the die roll. The Butcher has the Out for Blood special ability. Heroes in the same area as the Butcher and all heroes targeting the area containing her have +1 crit. You can use one or both of these rules at the same time. Okay. Add a little RNG into the mix. And the Abomination, a special kind of hero, so the special rules for the A-Bomb. The Abomination is a hero that plays quite differently from the rest. The hero has 2 forms, a human one and a beast one, and can switch between these 2 at will. 3 of the Abomination's skills can only be used when he is in human form, and 3 can only be used as a beast form. The 7th skill, Transformation, is a unique one that allows him to change from one form to another. You'll notice it's a double-sided one. You are not obliged to equip it at all times, though if you don't have it, you can't have the hero transform into his beast form. The Abomination is always in its human form when in the hamlet. It'll switch to this form automatically if you leave the dungeon while in beast form. Though since the skill is not used at that time, there are no transformation effects. When you switch from one form to another using the transform skill, flip the skill card, the hero card, and the stance token to its other side using an action and resolving all the effects as normal. And replace the miniature with one of the current form. All these are reminders of which form you are currently using. Remember, not all skills can be used by both forms. This section covers, do you take all 6 then? Or how does that work? Do you still have to pick and choose? I assume you take all 6. This section covers... Okay, and setting up boss fights, well, that's standard. This is more for once you're playing, so I think we've reached the end. Those are the rules, chat. Phew! Took a minute to get through those. Yeah, these are just setting up specific bosses. Nothing we need to read right now. Suggested party comps. It's cute. I'm gonna go all Arbalists. Nothing but Crusaders. What is their number 1? Group 1, Adventuring Party, low complexity. Crusader, Hellion, Highwayman, Vestal. Yep. Battlefield Experts, medium complexity. Crusader, Bounty Hunter, Cultist, Vestal. Group 3, Damage Over Time, medium complexity. Hellion, Grave Robber, Plague Doctor, Occultist. That don't sound medium, that sounds perfect. Now that's my kind of team comp right there. Group 4, the Dancers, high complexity. Crusader, Grave Robber, Jester, Arbalist. Dance, dance, baby. Also a pretty standard team comp. Alright. Well, there we go. That is it. That is the Darkest Dungeon board game as I have received it. For now. Obviously, there are several expansions still coming. I don't know how many waves those are going to ship out in. And presumably, they still need time to finish. 4 antes. Well, you better take that up with whatever expansion's coming out next. I ain't got no antes yet. +1 crit? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, it's gonna be good. Did you ever play Butcher Circus in the video game? Yes, we streamed it. You never knew the Butcher was female. She sure is. That's the only way to explain the way she licks that knife. But yeah, I actually streamed it when it came out. We did an evening full of matches where I memed all over everybody. We've been playing this on stream. Maybe at some point. Not immediately, though. If I do, it'll probably be after we have the whole set. After everything arrives. Prior to that, probably not. And I have to figure out where I'm going to play it. And how I'm going to get that set up. Right now, I do not have a viable setup for that. But that's fine. We got a few months at least to figure that out. But yeah, I mean, hey, maybe I could even wrangle Dan into it. Maybe we can do that as a co-op day instead. So, yeah, I mean, yeah. At some inevitable point, probably. Yeah. I'll just have to get a setup ready for it. Wait, what? That's kind of hot. Yeah, that's... Just... Like, just pretend this is the blade. Let me make sure the sharp part's out. Yeah. It's just... I'd like the tongue's all the way fucking around it. Like, it's crazy. She's very familiar with that knife. Honestly, I'm probably lucky I didn't just cut my tongue. Chat, don't ever do that. Never stick a sharp knife near your mouth. It's a bad habit. I've been doing it since my days as a pirate, though. You know, you gotta climb all the ropes, the mast. You gotta put that dagger somewhere, you know? It's just right in there. Don't be me. Be better than me, chat. Be better than me. So how long did that take us? 6.5. Is it 10:30? Holy fuck. That took 6.5 hours? I mean, I knew it took a while. I was thinking like 4 hours. Maybe 4.5. Holy Christ. Well, that was an unboxing for the ages, I would say. Well, you stuck it out till the end, Musketeer. We're proud of you. Say goodbye to the crowd. Daddy's got to go find some food. Daddy getting hungry. Don't do as Critical Hole Joe does. Exactly. Exactly. Anyway. I got a busy night tonight. I gotta tear these fucking... all this shit off the wall. And I gotta move the entire room because they're tearing it down tomorrow. Oh, God. Thanks for the stream. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. This was a great financial decision on my part. I'm glad we could all share in it. I have to go explain this to my accountant now. He's not going to be thrilled. If you never see me again, he probably threw me in the river. I hope the game's everything you wanted it to be. Well, to be fair, I wanted it as a decoration and channel content, so it's already living up to that. So we're doing good. We're doing good. Just show him the stream, business expense, boom. Well, yeah, that's the plan. I'm probably not going to be playing this on my own, so my plan for this is make stream content out of it, and then use it for stream decorations on the shelf. This is very much a business write-off. Although, the business write-off still fucking hurts, because that's, usually, like 30%? So that's still a lot of money straight out of my pocket. That's, still got a lot to explain to people and financial institutes and oh, son of a bitch. Bye, chat.